Hello and welcome to Sound Bites. I am your host, Holly Whitfield, here at Flyway Brewing. We're on location today with head brewer Teddy Pepper. This week, we are going to talk again about the Memphis Edge District, something that's come up several times on Sound Bites this year, with a focus on the sort of new, sort of not new in different ways, Flyway Brewing. Please don't forget, Sound Bites is the Daily Memphian's weekly food, drink, dining podcast. Tune in on WYXR Radio every Thursday at 11. Listen wherever you get your podcasts, including iTunes or Spotify, or just head to the website, listen at dailymemphian.com. If you're listening right now on WYXR, up next you can hear our Arts and Culture podcast with Daily Memphian CEO Eric Barnes. That's The Sidebar. If you missed last week's Soundbites, though, please go check it out. I interviewed the founder of Memphis Black Restaurant Week, Cynthia Daniels. It was a really fun conversation. Even though Black Restaurant Week is officially over, I think you can still get a lot of great recommendations for places to eat around town and learn something from Cynthia. But let's get going with Teddy and Flyway. Teddy, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for letting me be a part of this.
So tell the listeners where we're sitting right now.
It's a very probably the most casual area of the restaurant. There's a couple of treetop kind of, I don't know.
Tables, like
the
tree trunk
tables that
tables.
are cut from the center of trees. A couple of, comfortable leather chairs and leather couch, the biggest TV in the building itself, and beautiful mural on the walls. It's a very casual seating area.
This is a great light-filled space. If people don't know, Flyway Brewing, I think, reopened in November, sort of officially taking over the former Edge Alley restaurant space and the High Cotton brewing space.
Right.
And I think where we're sitting was either not open to the public, or it certainly wasn't a nice seating area like it is now.
Right.
So this will be new for people.
Yeah, we... Essentially, High Cotton had there was a wall between the two businesses, and they were separate businesses. And we basically punched out a hole through the walls, and now it's one space that goes from the tap room of the brewery into the restaurant as a sort of a nice way to flow between the two areas and enjoy a little tasty food and some tasty beverages.
Excellent. Well, we'll certainly talk more about those any second now, but if you hear a little music playing, we have people working right now in the kitchen, so just give you a little bit of atmosphere. I'm already super comfy in here, so let's get to it. Tell us about yourself, Teddy, as head brewer. Where did you come from? How did you get here?
I was brewing for Flyway in Northwest Arkansas last year, and as the transition for this location went from, as they bought High Cotton and built it up, there was a need for a new brewer here. And so I transitioned from Northwest Arkansas, actually was traveling here for about 3 months and then made the move about 2 months ago. I brewed for Ozark Beer for 5 years in Rogers, Arkansas, there in Northwest. And before that, just I've lived in different parts of the country and brewed for different breweries, and extremely happy to call Memphis home now.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah,
2 months.
you.
You haven't been here that long permanently. So
No, but it's been extremely welcoming, the people, and it's just been a really great time. I've enjoyed it.
And where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Houston, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've still got all my family there. I travel back and forth as often as I can. But I kind of like to explore different parts of the country and have found my way here to Tennessee.
This is your next chapter.
Yeah.
Speaking of chapters, can you tell us a little bit about the origins of Flyway Brewing?
Yeah, so Flyway started, I'll get the numbers wrong, I'm sure, but I would guess 11, 12 years ago in North Little Rock, Arkansas. And the idea of Flyway is it depicts the flight patterns of the migratory birds. And so we've got a little, painting on our wall here. The other locations have it as well, which shows the flight paths as they migrate. And so that kind of became the direction. And so we like to name the Flyway beers after birds. And the paintings on the walls and everything depict that as well.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit of an outdoorsy vibe, a little bit of a lodge, woodsy situation. I actually heard of the Flyway for the first time now years ago. I did this story when I was working on a magazine about homes and gardens, but there was this incredible duck hunting camp, which I didn't know that duck hunting camps could be like super luxurious situations with private chefs and stuff. But we did a story on like essentially the architecture and design. But what I was most interested in is like, why did you build this in the middle of Arkansas in this kind of really rural place? And they're like, well, it's the Flyway. It's the largest migratory pathway for ducks and geese and other birds. And it's really important to the ecosystem. So I was like, okay, I felt like I had a tiny bit of knowledge about it.
Probably the same amount as I do. I'm learning a lot as I'm a part of this. There's definitely a path that goes through, Little Rock or beside that down to the Delta. And then I've also since learned that here in Memphis, they're putting together something that has to do with the Flyway on the Mississippi River.
Right. And
it's a very big project. And I love how we're able to tie into that, because that's, part of what we're all about.
All the migrations.
Yeah. All
right. We've got a couple of beers here. We are tasting some that y'all have brewed up. What are we drinking?
It's a Flyway Blue Wing, which has become really the flagship beer of the company. It's a blueberry wheat. It's very light, easy to drink. It's got just enough fruit, just enough tartness that it keeps it very interesting, and you can drink it in the summer, the winter. It's really good at any time of the year.
So that's your flagship. And how many beers do you have on tap? Tell me about some of your favorites.
Yeah, we've got 10 taps here in house. We are looking to expand that, but we've got some of the core Flyway beers that are a West Coast IPA, Early Bird, the Blue Wing, of course. We've got Honeybird, which is a very light beer that has like a nuance of honey in it. And then, I think it's also important to let the beer lovers and the people of the city know that, when we bought High Cotton, we wanted to keep the name and the brand alive and pay an homage to everyone that had spent time here drinking, High Cotton beer for the past decade. And so we're keeping the brand alive. And so in addition to, however many of the Flyway beers that are on tap, we've also got at least 3 permanent High Cotton beers, and that's the Mexican Lager, the Scottish Ale, and those have always been around, and they're very good beers, so we want to keep those going. And then we've got a hazy IPA that's called River King, and when I got here, that was really the only one that I completely rewrote the recipe to make it more true to style, which is a very light 6.2% summer, spring type of IPA that's very low in bitterness and very tropical, citrusy on the nose. So really happy with that one. And we're also doing so the High Cotton brand gives us a little more flexibility to play around and do things outside of the normal realm. And so we do a series called Sloosh, which is basically like an ice cream or a soft serve slushy style beer. And so we're going to put together one here next week. But for example, the last one was a sour beer base with hazelnut soft serve ice cream, blackcurrant fruit, and plum fruit. And
wow, so it's actually ice cream. It's not just like frozen beer in slush form.
No.
It's got ice cream in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
boy.
so,
that's a tasty treat.
Yeah, so we're putting, that's going to change all the time. So that one was, that combination. I've got another one in 2 weeks that we'll put out that I'll have a different combination. We've got a cider, our first ever cider that should be hitting the taps at the end of the week. We just kind of want to keep things interesting, and I've got a really great crew that have a lot of input and creative minds as well, and so the High Cotton side of it allows us to kind of flex the creative aspect.
It sounds like a really fun plan, and especially now I think we've fully, you tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like we've fully come past the like every beer on tap at every tap room is some kind of IPA, 9%, knock your socks off to the moon. Like, we're kind of not doing that for every beer anymore. Is that a trend you see? So if people, I think some people that didn't like that got turned off and they're like, not really into the tap rooms. Well, you're saying come back. We have some other things now.
Yeah, Flyway has a couple of really high gravity beers, as we call them, the higher alcohol percent.
Sure.
And we will continue to do some of those, but definitely you see the trend where people want to be able to drink more light beer. And by light, we're just talking about the alcohol content. So you're not, you can drink 3 or 4 if you want and still feel normal, as opposed to a higher alcohol beer. You're not going to maybe not feel so normal.
Yeah, just 1 or 2 and you're done. Yeah. You want to hang out and spend time in this great space. Mm-hmm. Stepping to the side a little bit, I just want to pick your brain about what's going on in the craft beer scene and microbreweries right now in this region or in the country. There's been pandemic, there's been buyouts, there's been, people are making different decisions as we reach this point in the post-pandemic world. What's going on? Yeah,
I mean, since the pandemic, a lot has changed where people are wanting, less calories or spend less money, especially in the current climate. You want to stretch your dollar a little further. And you're also seeing in 2024, the first time for probably the last 4 decades, more brewery closures than there have been openings. And so it's very crucial that people come out and support your local breweries. And that the trend has been for a long time, IPA being the number 1 selling beer. And that's true still, but you're also seeing the light lagers being very popular and enjoyable all year long. And so that might be a roasted, dark Czech lager, or it might be an American Pilsner that's 4%. And so you're seeing the low calorie light beers and low alcohol light beers. And those are really trending. And then you like to see things that are funky too, and experimental. So
like beer with ice cream in it.
Yeah,
let's
for sure.
do it.
Yeah.
So speaking about food, no food trucks probably.
Right.
Usually here, because you have a whole full restaurant. And I know that last week, Daily Memphian food writer Jennifer Chandler came in and she tried some items of the menu in a comment she made in her story, which I'll link to if you're reading or listening to this on dailymemphian.com. She mentioned how excited she was to see like a full restaurant menu with people able to choose from more than just like, oh, here's a burger, here's a tender, here's, just a food truck that you have to like, which I love trying new food trucks at breweries, but you have to figure out like, what's there today? Is there one today? And so forth and so on. Your guys taking a different approach. You've partnered up with Skylar O'Brien, who's also working with City Silo, and then around the corner, famously Hard Times Deli is nearby, and like he's worked on the food menu. What can you tell us about how that is going to work? Yeah, it's it is pretty unique for a brewery to have a full kitchen, and sometimes it'll be gastropub style, very elevated, and or sometimes it'll be a dedicated space for paninis or pizzas or something. And that's all great, having food options, but having a kitchen that's very accessible for anyone that comes through the door, whether it's the healthy salads or the duck tenders tossed in buffalo sauce if it's my choice. But they're our in-house smoked turkey and pulled pork. There are a lot of things on the menu for a lot of people, and it's really, really nice. Jennifer mentioned those duck tenders in her story last week. I can't wait to try them. What's another recommendation that's your favorite off the food menu besides those? I personally love the cheddar bombs. They've got the melted cheese skirt that spreads out beyond the little slider itself, and that's what they are. They're hamburger sliders with the cheese skirt that's melty and crunchy at the same time. I really love those. The wedge salad is delicious.
I can go on and on. The 4 different pretzels, so.
Lunchtime's coming up, as it often is when we're recording this, and once again, I'm hungry. I do want to remind folks that you're listening to the Daily Memphian Sound Bites Food, Drink, Dining podcast. I'm Holly Whitfield from the Daily Memphian. Today, we are talking with Teddy Pepper. He's the head brewer of Flyway Brewing in the Edge District Medical District. And we're just talking about what's new over here. We've got a great food menu. We've got a full full row of beers on tap. It's not just 2 or 3. If you're tuning in on WYXR right now, please keep listening for the Sidebar podcast with Daily Memphian CEO Eric Barnes. If you're listening through your podcast app now, just take a tiny little moment and subscribe. Go back and listen to some of our episodes. This past year, we've had some really great Memphis restaurateurs and people truly passionate about the city and its food on. All right, Teddy, let's get back to you, though. Speaking of the Edge District, do you call this the Edge? Did you call this the Medical District? When you tell people where it is, do they know what you're talking about?
I refer to it as the Edge District, and a lot of times I'm still explaining what that means.
Okay.
I spend a lot of time in downtown, which we're absolutely just on the cusp of downtown, or on the edge of it. And so that's kind of how I explain it to people, how it has been explained to me. I spend a lot of time in Midtown as well. And I would say more times than not, I'm explaining where it is based on, Sun Studios, for example. Right. And then now, of course, the famous deli down the road, Hard Times, people, are picking up on that as well. And so, but yeah, I just tell people that it's the Edge District and then just kind of go from there.
What is it like kind of being a part of, I'm just going to say it, I mean, this neighborhood is changing and has been changing really rapidly in the last 6 months, year. And there's a lot going on. There's the Rockin' Dough Pizza over here now. There's a French Truck Coffee. If people missed it, Gem Dining opened, I think, late last year. Bar Limina owner Josh Conley was just on Soundbites a couple of weeks ago talking about that's going to open not far away. And here y'all are. Memphis Made Brewing is also right around the corner.
Yep.
What's it like? It sounds fun.
I love it. Like I said, I spend a lot of time in downtown because I can walk from here in 10 minutes and be, on Beale if I want to. But I love being right next door to Memphis Made. We share the ravine with them, and they've become great friends to me personally. And we will share raw materials with each other. We'll go to each other's space and clink glasses with each other. And then, there's a Venezuelan restaurant just 2 streets over that little by little I've been taking the entire crew and adding to it every time I go. And everyone raves about it. And so they're called Sabor. And I've enjoyed eating there.
I love that place. Yeah. It's so good.
It is delicious. There's a lot going on in this area, and it's fun to be a part of it. It's fun to see the changes, before my eyes.
Well, I hope that people take note of that and spend a Saturday or a weekend, Thursday night, something coming down and checking out some of these new things. What are some of the kinds of programming that you're going to be hosting at Flyway Brewing?
We've already kicked off a lot of special events with, fly fishing. We did an arm wrestling event that was really fun.
Okay. Did you win?
I didn't enter.
Okay.
I didn't enter. Yeah. There were some really, really big individuals that I knew better than to sit across from.
Fair enough.
But it was a lot of fun. But we've had a lot of live music already. We've had some magic shows, some comedy nights, and we want to have, I would say, at least 2 weekends a month where we have live music, and oftentimes it's double that. And so we're, especially going into spring and summer, we want to have events Friday and Saturday nights. And but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've been to a lot of the music shows, and most of the times they're local acts, and it's really enjoyable.
Do you think anyone is ever going to buy this kudzu's place former kudzus?
I've heard whispers.
Yeah.
I definitely have heard whispers, and I'd like to see it turn into some of the things I've heard. It would be a nice addition to this little area at the edge for sure.
I remember many years ago when I worked at the Commercial Appeals, some of the guys over there would walk over and eat lunch there.
Okay.
So I actually have never been inside, so maybe our dreams will come true.
Yeah.
Along the same veins, I wanted to ask, besides your own delicious beer and this one, remind me which one this is?
Yeah, this is Blue Wing, our berry wheat.
Berry
wheat. Yeah.
Blue Wing berry wheat. So besides that, what is something good you've had to drink lately? It's National Cocktail Day when we're recording this, by the way. But I don't know if you've got a beer on your mind.
No, I don't know. I typically stick to beer.
Sure.
As a beer brewer, that's just kind of my wheelhouse. I really enjoy it's a Kolsch from Memphis Made Next Door with, I'm trying to think, I can't remember, but it's got a very citrus note to it. I think it's a tangerine flavored Kolsch. It's called Tan Lines. I've been enjoying that one. I always enjoy everything from Crosstown. All of their beer is very delicious. So yeah, I like to mix it up.
Tangerine, I'll have to check that one out for sure. Okay, food-wise, do you like to cook at home? Are you eating out?
I eat out almost every meal.
Okay.
Yeah. So my spots lately have been the Venezuelan spot. I mentioned Sabor. I really love Casablanca. I think they would consider it Mediterranean. Chuki's Tacos is probably my top taco spot.
Recently read about Chuki's and a $5 or $10 meal.
If you didn't hear, that's our producer, Natalie Van Gundy, reminding all of our eager listeners and rabid readers that we definitely read about Chuki's 2 tacos lately. What kind of taco do you get?
They've got really good birria. My favorite type of taco meat would be al pastor.
Okay.
And they do it right there. I'm getting something every time I go because I want to try. I mean, the challenge is to try something I don't enjoy that much, and so far they've knocked it out of the park every time. Yeah.
You can't lose. Anywhere else that you found since you've moved here that has impressed you or you'd recommend?
I spent a lot of time at the Flying Saucer. Their food is excellent too. I could really go on and on. There are a lot of places.
I had heard that Flying Saucer in downtown Memphis has a different food menu than the other Flying Saucers.
I can attest.
Is that true?
Yeah. I've grown up in Houston. I went to that one hundreds of times, and different than the one in Little Rock. This one is far and above those other ones. Yeah, their kitchen is impressive.
Well, I feel vindicated with that then. Being new to Memphis, I'm just going to take advantage and put you on the spot.
Okay.
What has surprised you most about the city or the people?
So far, the walkability of certain areas.
Right.
I've lived in a ton of big cities like Houston, Austin, Phoenix, and they have not been anywhere near as walkable. And now, mind you, you've got to be in certain pockets, but you can go to Cooper Young and there's a ton to do there, and same in this area in downtown. And but before moving here, I had heard from friends and strangers on the internets all the negative aspects of the city, and there definitely are some, but it might have swayed. It might have swayed me if I had to make a decision on the fly, but having the luxury of spending a few months here, traveling here, it was the people that really brought me here. The people just really blew me away. When you think of hospitalness or generosity or kindness, you tend to think of the South, and I've learned Mid-South that's a new term to me.
Yes.
But the people here have been nicer than almost anywhere that I've lived. So I've felt at home almost right off the bat. Yeah.
That's high praise. To finish out here, let's talk a little bit more about beer. You've been brewing for how many years now?
11 maybe 11, 12
11,
years.
12 years.
Yeah, professionally.
Okay, what is the beer that you knew was going to be so great and it did not deliver?
Oh, it didn't deliver.
Yes. And then I'm going to ask you about one that did deliver. But
yeah. I would say the first time I ever was given free reign to make whatever I wanted, I chose a historical beer that didn't even have a recipe per se. It was old Polish beer style that was 100% oak smoked wheat, and it was pale in color, served in a glass that you might find a Hefeweizen in.
Okay.
That cloudy, but whenever you put it up to your nose, it smelled like campfire and like sausage. So it was absolutely not what I thought it would be, and very polarizing. Some people enjoyed it, most people did not. So I learned my lesson there. I've never made it again. I probably will again, but I'm okay circling back in a long time.
Try it again in the winter.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's one that surprised you with how well it was received or how much you liked it?
I would say I've got a Czech style Pilsner recipe that I started brewing at my first head brewer job, and the family was of Czech descent, and so it was really fun to write a recipe and lean into that one. And I've brewed it at a few different spots, and it has just taken off. It's done really well. And I'll brew that one here someday, I'm sure. You know? But it's very easy to drink, but also has a lot of character for a light lager.
I love that. Have you ever had a chance to travel over there and try some of those beers?
No,
not yet.
I've been over. I've had the original Czech lager, Budvar, which was what Budweiser was before Budweiser is what they are now. But I had that in England. So I've not been over to, is it Czechia now? I forget what they're calling the Czech Republic.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll put it on the list, and I'm sure if you go, you'll come back with tons of inspiration.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, you've got plenty going on here at Flyway for people to drink. Anything else you definitely want people to know when they come down to visit Flyway's restaurant or tap room?
Yeah, just be open-minded. There's a lot of space in our restaurant and bar. We've got the back room where we do the events, but you're also welcome to sit back there and watch some games, hang out. Just be ready for good food and some experimentation with the beers, and walk around the area. Feel like you can safely walk around to the different bars and restaurants and breweries in this area and have a great time.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and cheers with the beers. So that's about all the time that we have for this episode of Sound Bites. Thank you so much, Teddy. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Listeners, hello. Please subscribe to Sound Bites, rate us and review us. Producer Natalie Van Gundy has been running low on reading material. She loves to read the reviews, so please leave those nice ones for us. Email me if you have ideas for podcasts or people that we should talk to. Always happy to talk about that. Don't forget, you can tune into Sound Bites on WYXR Radio Thursdays at 11. Listen on Spotify, listen on iTunes, listen at dailymemphian.com. And we'll talk about Memphis food, drinks, and dining till the birds fly home or the cows come home or whatever animals want to do whatever they want to do. Thank you again, Teddy.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good one.